You made it, not by accident, not by invitation, not with applause, not with approval. You made it because you broke through, shattered what they said was unbreakable, walked when they said you'd crawl, stood tall when they prayed you'd kneel, and now, oh now, you walk in glowing, not just shining, not just sparkling, not just with light, but with proof, with presence, with that unstoppable fire behind your eyes that says, I'm still here, and I'm not leaving. And guess what? They hate it. Oh, they don't say it out loud. Number. That would be too obvious. They hide it behind plastic smiles, forced congratulations, carefully veiled words. But don't think for 1 second that you can't smell the smoke from their envy burning just beneath the surface. Because you walked in and didn't ask permission. You didn't wait for the world to crown you. You crowned yourself. You built your throne with the bones of every insult they threw, every doubt they whispered, every room they didn't want you in. And now they can't look at you without choking on the weight of their own mediocrity. You walk in glowing, and they start hiding, because light exposes shadows. And you, my friend, are the sun they tried to block out. They never hated you because you failed. They hated you because you kept showing up. They hated you because you dared to try again, because you rose after every fall like your pain was some kind of fuel. And now, the glow isn't luck. It isn't handed. It's earned. It's pain set on fire. It's hunger forged into steel. You don't just look good. You look like everything they tried to keep you from becoming. You don't just glow. You blind them. You don't just walk in. You take the air with you. And they can't breathe when you shine. See, they loved you when you were small, when you were uncertain, when you apologized for existing, when your voice trembled and your dreams were fragile. That version of you didn't threaten them. That version let them stay comfortable. But then something happened, didn't it? You cracked open, you bled, you lost. You screamed into pillows, faced demons in silence, carved your name into stone with your own fingernails. And something inside you changed. You weren't born glowing, you were forged. Your glow comes from every fire you walked through, every betrayal you swallowed, every time you kept your mouth shut while they tried to laugh at your pain. And now you don't ask for a seat at the table. You build your own goddamn castle. Now you don't speak to be accepted. You speak to be heard. And whether they like it or not, they will hear you. Whether they clap or not, you will walk in like thunder. Whether they approve or not, you will glow. Because that's what happens when you've suffered enough to become a storm. You're not glowing because it's pretty. You're glowing because it's war paint. Because the moment you walked in, they knew. They knew this wasn't the same version of you they mocked. This wasn't the one they ghosted, talked down to, pretended not to see. This is the you that remembers everything. The you that holds grudges like armor and walks with wounds you made into weapons. They start hiding because they see it now. They see what you've become. They see that all those nights you were quiet, you weren't broken. You were reloading. You were studying. You were watching. You were waiting. And now you walk in with scars that look like royalty, with silence that feels like a threat, with peace that you earned, with presence that makes them shrink, because they never expected you to survive. And now you're not just surviving, you're glowing. They call it arrogance. You call it resurrection. They say you're too much. You say they've been too little for too long. They say you've changed. You say, finally. In every room you enter from this day forward, let them whisper. Let them question. Let them feel the discomfort of watching someone they counted out turn into someone they can't count around. Let them study you like a threat. Let them talk. But you, don't you shrink. Don't you dim. Don't you apologize for evolving, because your glow is the evidence of war, and you won. You want to know why they're mad? Because you're not supposed to look this good after what you've been through. You're not supposed to be this confident after how they left you. You're not supposed to be glowing after they buried you in silence. But guess what? You do look good. So damn good, it's pissing them off. You glow like every room was built for your arrival. You walk like you own your scars. You speak like the world's been silent too long, and now they don't know how to face you. Because to face you now is to face the fact that they lost, that their doubt, their absence, their silence, their gossip, their sabotage didn't work, that you came out harder, sharper, realer. They can't celebrate you because celebrating you means admitting they were wrong. So they hide. They hide behind shade, behind fake smiles, behind silence, behind passive-aggressive comments, behind ghosting, behind fake love. But let them hide. You weren't made to be understood by those who fear growth. You weren't built to be loved by cowards. You were built to burn in full view and stay on fire. You're not just glowing because of wins. You're glowing because of survival, because of how you kept getting up, how you stayed when it was easier to leave, how you walked with wounds nobody saw, how you carried yourself when no one was watching. They didn't see the training montage, they only see the result. And they're jealous, not because you're better, but because you did what they were too afraid to even attempt. So let them be uncomfortable. Let them avoid eye contact. Let them hate in silence. But you stand taller, you walk louder, you laugh harder. Because you're not just glowing, you're glorious. Because the hate you feel, that's just confirmation that you finally became someone they can't ignore, someone they can't control, someone they can't define. Let them hide. You weren't made for hiding. You were made for impact. Let them whisper. You weren't made for background noise. You were made for amplified presence. Let them wish. You weren't made for dreams. You were made to be a living reminder that some people don't break. They become unbreakable. So next time you walk in glowing and feel the shift in the room, smile. Smile because they know. Smile because you don't need to say a word. Smile because you've already said enough just by surviving. And when they ask, who does she think she is? Or why is he acting like he's everything? Don't flinch, don't shrink, don't explain. Just say, I'm glowing and you can't fake this light. Because you look too good. And yeah, it's pissing them off. Good. And now the room is tense. You feel it, don't you? That coldness pretending to be casual. That silence pretending to be peace. That look away energy. Like your success burned their eyes. Like your smile is a spotlight they didn't ask for. But you didn't come here to be liked. You came here to be known. You came here to be undeniable. You walked in with light on your skin, thunder in your step, and a don't ask me again look in your eyes. And every insecure soul in that room flinched. Every false friend got quiet. Every fake supporter suddenly remembered somewhere else they needed to be. And you just stood there, glowing like vengeance and rebirth rolled into one. You don't need their applause anymore. You don't even need their presence. You're not the same version of you who once begged to be seen. That person, that ghost of the past, died in silence, buried under years of being overlooked, underappreciated, underestimated. You've changed now. You're the funeral and the resurrection. You're the soft voice that became a war cry. You're the kindness that grew teeth. You're the silence that learned how to roar. And it shows. It shows in every step. It shows in your posture. It shows in your peace. The kind that threatens people who only know chaos. You walk in glowing because you know who you are now, and that scares them. People aren't afraid of your success. They're afraid of your certainty, your conviction. That rare air you breathe when you've truly made peace with not needing anyone's validation. That's the kind of glow they can't handle, the kind that comes from within. Because the truth is, you're not trying anymore. You've arrived. And they see it. It's in the way you don't chase, the way you don't flinch, the way you don't explain yourself. You used to shrink to keep them comfortable. You used to dim your glow just so they wouldn't feel small. But no more. That version of you is gone, dead and buried. And from its ashes rose something holy, something dangerous, something real. And they can feel it. They can feel that you are no longer made of apology. You are made of aftermath. You are made of all the days you didn't quit. You are made of every no that taught you how to take what's yours. So when they hide, don't chase them. When they fall silent, don't speak to fill the gap. Let them sit in the shadows. Let them feel what it's like to miss someone who glowed through the darkness they tried to trap you in. Because this isn't revenge. This is radiance. You're not trying to hurt them. Your existence is just a reminder of everything they were too afraid to become. You walk in and the mirror breaks for them. They don't see you. They see what they're not, what they gave up on, what they talked themselves out of. Your glow becomes a spotlight on their cowardice. Your confidence is a personal insult to their insecurity. And you don't have to lift a finger, because nothing shakes a room more than someone who used to be broken walking in like a goddamn monument. So keep walking, with that head held high, with that elegance that can't be faked, with that presence that turns air into tension and silence into storms. They'll keep hiding, let them, because you've got bigger things to do than wait for small minds to grow. You've got kingdoms to build. You've got peace to protect. You've got a glow to maintain, one that didn't come easy. And if you ever doubt it, remember, they don't hide from the weak. They don't hide from the average. They don't hide from the forgotten. They only hide when the real one walks in. They only hide when the one they thought was finished walks in burning brighter than ever. They only hide when your very presence becomes proof that you are everything they feared you'd become. You didn't just glow, you became the fire, and now they can't stand the heat. Let them sweat. Let them shrink. Let them talk in corners while you stand in full light, because you walk in glowing, and they hide, as they should, because you look too damn good. And that truth, it's pissing them off. Good. Let it. You want to know something? They never feared your failure. They counted on it. In fact, they needed it. Your struggle gave them comfort. Your confusion kept them warm at night. Your pain validated their laziness. Because as long as you were silent, scared, second-guessing, and stuck in circles, they didn't have to confront themselves. But now that you've evolved past the noise, now that you walk in glowing, you've become the enemy of their excuses, the destroyer of their delusions, the proof that, no, it wasn't impossible. They were just cowards. And they'll never say that out loud. They'll never admit they wanted to see you fail, even though they rehearsed your funeral in their heads every night. They'll never admit they liked watching you break, that it made them feel strong to watch you weak, that it made them feel worthy to watch you doubt yourself. But now they're quiet. Now they're hiding. Because the game is over. The version of you they could handle is dead. And in its place stands something they never saw coming. The truth in human form. You don't walk in like you used to. You glide. You cut. You command. You carry presence. That heavy, uncomfortable kind of presence that doesn't ask permission. That doesn't wait for applause. That doesn't explain its existence. You just show up, and that's enough to rearrange the molecules in the room. And that glow they hate, that's not aesthetics. That's evidence. That's proof. That's a history of pain turned to fuel. That's every fake friend, every missed call, every ghosted message, every betrayal, every I'm busy, every backhanded compliment, every time they laughed behind your back and smiled to your face, turned into one blinding, holy, untouchable light. You're not glowing because they love you. You're glowing because you loved yourself through every storm they threw at you. You're not glowing because they clapped for you. You're glowing because you clapped for yourself in empty rooms and kept going anyway. You're not glowing because life was easy. You're glowing because you earned it. And they know it. They see you, and they remember every time they underestimated you. Every time they talked about you like your name was dirt. Every time they laughed at you like your dreams were comedy. Now, the joke's on them, because you turned everything they threw at you into armor. They hid behind crowds. You walked through fire alone. They followed trends. You followed vision. They got loud. You got focused. And now, they hide when you walk in, because when you glow, you expose everything they tried to keep in the dark. You expose the lies they told about you, the lies they told to themselves, the masks they wear just to feel okay, standing next to someone as real as you. You are no longer someone they can predict or control or box in. You're too loud for that. Even in silence, you're loud. You're a walking warning label that says, don't come close unless you're ready for truth. That's why they avoid you, because your existence demands they change, and they're not ready for that kind of confrontation. And let's make one thing very clear. You did not come this far to play small again. You did not bleed for this glow just to dim it for people who are afraid of the light. You did not suffer in silence. Build yourself from ruins, resurrect your own soul, and walk back into the world with fire in your chest, just to make cowards feel comfortable. So let them hate, let them hide, let them whisper, let them shrink. You've got a glow that doesn't ask for mercy. You've got a glow that kicks down doors, a glow that reminds people exactly why they can't kill what was built in pain and raised in war. You're not just glowing. You are a walking contradiction to every lie they believed about you. You're not supposed to look this healthy. You're not supposed to be this calm. You're not supposed to be glowing, smiling, succeeding, thriving. But you are, and they can't take it. They don't know what to do with someone who walked through fire and came out looking like royalty. They don't know how to talk to someone who went from buried to brilliant. They don't know how to breathe around someone who carries this much presence without trying. So again, let them hide. They're not your people. They never were. You don't need ghosts. You don't need shadows. You are light. And when light walks in, darkness runs. So next time you walk into the room and feel the shift, don't question it. Own it. Smile like revenge. Stand like justice. Speak like prophecy. Because this glow is the result of everything they didn't see and everything you refuse to give up on. You're not just glowing anymore. You're untouchable. And if that pisses them off, good. Let it. Let it burn. Because they hid while you transformed. They laughed while you built. They waited for your fall, and instead, you ascended. So now you walk in glowing, and they start hiding, as they should. So here we are, full circle. You, standing in the same rooms that once made you feel invisible. You, walking through doors that used to slam in your face. You, glowing from the inside out, not because the world finally gave you permission, but because you gave it to yourself. Look back, just for a second. Look at the trail behind you, the signs, the scars, the setbacks, the betrayals. You didn't just survive them. You transformed through them. You built through them. You became undeniable through them. And now the rooms that used to reject you are heavy with your name. Your energy walks in 5 steps ahead of you. Your presence fills the air like prophecy, and they can't take it. Let that sink in. You used to wonder why they didn't clap for you, why they disappeared when you needed them, why they grew cold when you got close to winning, why they gave you silence instead of support. And now you know, it was never about you being too loud. It was about you being too real, too strong, too resilient to break the way they did. They wanted to see you quit, to see you question yourself, to watch you bend to their opinions like you were made of fear. But instead, you stood tall. You grew sharper. You walked into every storm like it owed you something. You turned your wounds into armor. You turned your glow into a weapon. And now, they flinch when they see you. Not because you changed, but because you didn't fold. Because you were never supposed to become this much. You weren't supposed to look this good after being dragged through hell. You weren't supposed to be this composed, this confident, this loud, this clear. But you are. And it's pissing them off. Perfect. Let that be your final reminder. You owe no one your silence. You owe no one your humility when it's used to keep you small. You owe no one a dimmed down version of yourself so they can feel more secure in their mediocrity. You didn't go to war with yourself just to come back and whisper. You didn't cry in silence, train in shadows, fight through your own darkness just to beg for approval from people who couldn't even stand next to your worst day without breaking. So now, when they hide, let them. When they whisper, let them. When they stare, let them. Because this glow you walk in with, it wasn't handed to you. It was earned. It was suffered for. It was fought for. And if it burns their eyes, good. They spent long enough trying to blind you. Now let them live in the shadow of everything you became, because you walked in glowing. And they started hiding, not because you did something wrong, but because you did something they didn't believe was possible. You made it through. You rose. You kept going. You became something unrecognizable to the version of you they thought would never escape. Let that be your legacy, not the one who fit in, the one who stood out, not the one they approved of, the one they couldn't ignore, and not the one who tried to blend into the crowd, but the one who walked in glowing and made the crowd scatter. Let that be the truth they choke on. You look too good. You are too good. And that truth, it's still pissing them off. Perfect. Let it. You walked in glowing, not because they let you, but because you became the fire they tried to extinguish. Every step you take now is a silent reminder that you rose from everything meant to break you, and that kind of presence terrifies those still hiding from their own reflection. So let them flinch, let them stare, let them drown in the silence they once weaponized against you. Because now, You look too damn good. And if that truth pisses them off, let it. That glow? It's not decoration. It's declaration that you made it unapologetically and you're never dimming again.